All right, today we are diving headfirst into the world of work-ready education. We're going to clear up the confusion around two little acronyms that cause a whole lot of debate, WBL and WIL. And trust me, getting these straight is pretty crucial for anyone trying to connect learning with a real career. So let's get into it. So if you're a student, or maybe an educator, or even an employer, you've seen all these words thrown around, right? Internship, co-op, apprenticeship, placement, they all seem to promise the same thing, real-world experience. But are they actually the same? I mean, what's the real difference here?
Well, it turns out a lot of that confusion boils down to this long-running debate in higher education, and it's all centered on two key ideas: WBL, which stands for work-based learning, and WIL, which is work-integrated learning. Getting a handle on this debate is really the first step to making sense of it all.
Okay, first things first. Before we can get into the debate, we've got to get our definitions straight. Let's make some sense of this alphabet soup of terms so we're all on the same page. First up is WIL. Now, the easiest way to think about work-integrated learning is as this huge umbrella. It's the big picture category. Basically, it covers any kind of educational program that deliberately mixes what you learn in the classroom with actual hands-on experience in a workplace. And then you have WBL, work-based learning. This one's a bit more specific. It usually describes programs for people who are already in a job but are studying to get a formal qualification, like a degree. And the key difference here is that the learning is all negotiated between the university, the employee, and their boss to meet some very specific needs of the company. All right, so now that we know the basic lingo, let's get to the juicy part, the conflict. For years, people in education have been arguing about whether WBL and WIL are, two sides of the same coin, or if they're completely different things altogether. So here's how the debate breaks down. The old school view was that WBL and WIL were totally separate fields, maybe even incompatible. But the new argument, and the one we're really exploring today, is a lot simpler. It says, hey, WBL isn't some separate universe, it's just one specific type of learning that fits very nicely under that big WIL umbrella we talked about. And make no mistake, that old view had some serious heavy hitters behind it. One of the key thinkers, Derek Portwood, argued way back in 2001 that WBL was, and I'm quoting here, not simply a different type of learning, but an educational field in its own right. He believed it had its own theories and methods that just didn't jive with other models. And listen, this isn't just some abstract academic argument. This stuff has real-world consequences. Take degree apprenticeships in the UK, for example. They are a textbook example of work-integrated learning. But they often get labeled as WBL, and sometimes they're even managed by totally separate departments inside a university. So you get these silos built up, all because of confusion over the terms. So, how do we finally put this argument to rest? Well, the idea here is to stop getting hung up on the labels and instead look at the kind of knowledge these programs are actually trying to create. And that brings us to this really important distinction. You've got what's called Mode 1 knowledge. This is your classic classroom stuff. It's theoretical, it's abstract, it's what you find in textbooks and lectures. But then there's Mode 2 knowledge. This is the real-world stuff. It's applied, it's contextual, it's about learning by doing. And here it is, the breakthrough. The crucial point is that no matter what you call it, WBL, WIL, whatever, the fundamental goal is exactly the same: to create that practical, hands-on Mode 2 knowledge. This is their shared DNA. It's what ties them together and kind of makes those old arguments about them being incompatible, well, it makes them look a little silly. So if you think of WBL as the family name, you suddenly see just how big this family really is. It's got everything: apprenticeships, internships, co-ops, service learning, applied research projects, the whole gang's here. And in this view, work-based learning, WBL, is just another member of this big, diverse family. Okay, but let's be real. Why does any of this matter? Why should we care about settling some old academic debate? Because, and this is important, it helps clarify the real goal here: creating a new kind of graduate, someone who is truly ready for the modern world of work. Just look at their shared goals. It becomes crystal clear. Both WBL and WIL are trying to boost employability, right? To develop those super important soft skills, like problem solving and being adaptable. They're also about fostering reflection, what some call double loop learning, which is basically learning how to learn. The whole point is to develop practical wisdom, not just a head full of facts. So, what does all that add up to? What's the end game? Well, the whole point of this entire philosophy of education is to produce graduates who are self determined learners, people who can really thrive in today's economy. They're not just ready for their first job, they're ready for a whole career because they know how to adapt and learn as they go. So, to kind of wrap this all up, the thinking here proposes a new model, a new map, if you will, one that helps us shift our focus away from arguing over labels and toward the thing that really matters, developing the whole person. And this is the map. It lays out 4 key dimensions of what it means to be a professional. You've got personal stuff like self-awareness, think emotional intelligence and reflection, and you've also got their role in the wider world as an active, ethical citizen. Then on the work side of things, you've got their competence. Do they have the skills for the job? And their overall professionalism. Their status and influence in their field. A good WIL program should help a student grow in all 4 of these areas. And that's really the power of a model like this. It forces us to stop wasting energy arguing about WBL versus WIL and instead ask a much, much better question. How does this experience help develop the whole person? How are we creating not just a skilled worker, but also a self-aware individual and a responsible citizen? Which, in the end, leaves us with this one big thought to chew on. This whole conversation points to a massive shift in how we think about education. A shift where maybe the most important question isn't what do you know anymore, but rather what can you do with what you know?